The morning sun painted the wheat fields of New Haven Colony in golden light. Jake Morrison walked slowly between the rows of grain, checking each plant with careful eyes. His weathered hands, once skilled with weapons of war, now handled farming. Tools with the same precision he once used to plan battles across the galaxy. At 52, Jake looked like any other farmer on the frontier colony. His gray hair was short and neat, his clothes simple work pants and a cotton shirt. Only his eyes gave away his past. They were the eyes of a soldier, always watching, always ready. The colonists respected him as a hard worker and good neighbor. They had no idea he was once the most feared military commander in human space. Jake Morrison had been a legend during the Terran Centauri War 15 years ago. The alien forces called him the Reaper of Vega Prime after he destroyed their entire Fifth Fleet with just 3 human ships. Military historians still studied his tactics. Enemy commanders still woke up in cold sweats thinking about his strategies. But Jake had walked away from all of that when the war ended. He wanted peace. He wanted a normal life for his daughter. Emma. Morrison was 17 now, tall and smart like her mother had been. She had Jake's green eyes, but her mother's gentle smile. Every morning she helped him with the farm work before heading to the Colony Academy, where she studied xenobiology. Emma dreamed of becoming a diplomat. She wanted to help humans and aliens understand each other better. Dad, the news feed says, "There might be trouble in the outer sectors," Emma said as they walked back toward their small farmhouse. She carried a basket of fresh eggs from their chickens. Jake frowned. What kind of trouble? Pirate raids. The Zephyrian Confederation has been hitting cargo ships near the border zones. Governor Walsh says we're too far out here for them to bother with us. Jake stopped walking. The Zephyrians were bad news. They were a loose group of different alien species who made money by stealing, kidnapping, and selling slaves. They usually stayed in the lawless parts of space, but if they were moving closer to human colonies, that meant something had changed. Emma, I want you to stay close to the settlement today. Don't go out to the research station alone. Emma rolled her eyes. Dad, I'm not a little kid anymore. Besides, Professor Martinez needs help with the new plant samples from the survey team. I know you're not a kid, but humor your old man, okay? Emma smiled and kissed his cheek. Okay, but you worry too much. This is New Haven, not some dangerous core world. Nothing ever happens here. Jake wished that were true, but his soldier instincts were telling him something was wrong. The air felt different today, too quiet. Even the farm animals seemed nervous. After breakfast, Emma headed to the academy while Jake continued his farm work. But he kept one eye on the sky and one ear listening for unusual sounds. At noon, he took a break and checked the colony's communication system. The news feeds were full of reports about increased pirate activity, but nothing specific about threats to New Haven. Jake was fixing a broken fence post when the attack began. The first sign was a shadow passing over the sun. Jake looked up to see 3 large ships dropping out of hyperspace above the colony. They were ugly, mismatched vessels with weapons welded to their hulls. Zephyrian raiders. The attack sirens started wailing across New Haven. Jake dropped his tools and ran toward the house. He had weapons hidden there, military-grade firearms he swore he would never use again. But as the first alien ships began firing on the colony buildings, Jake Morrison the farmer disappeared. The Reaper of Vega Prime was back. Jake reached his house as the first raider shuttles landed in the colony center. Alien soldiers poured out, their weapons firing stun beams at anyone who tried to run. These were not random pirates. They moved with purpose, like they were looking for specific targets. Jake grabbed his emergency kit from under the floorboards. Inside were 2 plasma rifles, a sidearm, combat armor, and a military communication device. His hands moved with practiced speed as he suited up. The armor still fit perfectly. The weapons felt like old friends in his hands. "Emma," he whispered into his cum device. "Emma, answer me." Static filled his earpiece. The raiders were jamming local communications. Jake left his house and moved toward the colony center. Years of farming had not slowed him down. He moved like a ghost between buildings, using every shadow and corner for cover. The skills that made him legendary were still there, waiting beneath the surface dot through his rifle scope. Jake watched the alien raiders herding colonists into groups. Men, women, and children were being forced into the raider shuttles. This was not a looting raid. This was a slave-run. Jake began his attack. His first shot dropped a Zephyrian officer from 300 meters away. His second shot destroyed a raider weapon emplacement. The aliens began shouting in their harsh language, trying to find the sniper who was picking them off one by one. But Jake was not fast enough. There were too many raiders and too much ground to cover. As he fought his way toward the academy where Emma should be, he saw the raider shuttles lifting off. Some were already heading back to their ships in orbit. Jake reached the academy to find it empty except for broken furniture and scorch marks on the walls. Professor Martinez lay unconscious near his desk, but he was alive. Jake shook him awake. "Where is Emma? Where are the students?" Professor Martinez looked up with dazed eyes. "They took them. The aliens took the young ones. Emma tried to fight them, but there were too many. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm so sorry." Jake felt something break inside his chest. He looked up at the sky where the raider ships were preparing to jump to hyperspace. Emma was on one of those ships. His little girl who wanted to be a diplomat, who believed in peace between species, was now a slave in alien hands. The raider ships vanished into hyperspace, taking Emma and dozens of other colonists with them. Jake Morrison stood in the ruins of the academy, still holding his rifle. Around him, New Haven burned. The peaceful life he had built was destroyed. The retirement he had earned with years of war was over. The galaxy had taken his daughter. Now the galaxy would pay. Jake walked back to his farm one last time. In his hidden safe, he found his old military codes and contact information. Some debts never expired. Some favors could still be called in. Some friendships lasted forever, even when they were forged in the fire of war. He activated his military communicator and sent a single message to Earth Defense Command. "This is Reaper. I'm back. Send me everything you have on Zephyrian slave routes." The Reaper of Vega Prime was going hunting. 3 days after the attack on New Haven, Jake Morrison sat in the pilot seat of his old military transport ship. The vessel had been hidden in a cave system 20 miles from his farm, sealed away for 15 years. Now its engines hummed with power as Jake flew toward the nearest space station. The ship's communication system crackled to life. "Jake, this is Lisa Hayes. I got your message." "What the hell are you doing?" Colonel Lisa Hayes had been Jake's second in command during the war. Now she commanded the Earth Defense Fleet from her headquarters on Luna Station. Jake had served with her for 8 years. She was one of the few people who truly understood what he was capable of. "They took Emma," Jake said simply. Lisa's voice softened. "I heard about New Haven. I'm sorry, Jake, but you can't do this alone. Let me send a fleet to help you." "No fleets. No official Earth involvement. I need information, not soldiers." "Jake, listen to me. The Zephyrians have been active in 17 sectors. They're not just random pirates anymore. Someone is organizing them. Someone with serious money and resources." Jake's hands tightened on the ship's controls. "Send me everything you have. Ship movements, base locations, known contacts. I'll handle the rest." "Damn it, Jake. You're going to start a war." "Good." The communication ended. Jake knew Lisa would send him the intelligence files. She understood that nothing would stop him from finding Emma. They had been through too much together during the war for her to abandon him now. Meanwhile, hundreds of light years away, Emma Morrison sat in the cargo hold of a Zephyrian slave ship. The hold was packed with prisoners from a dozen different worlds. Humans, Altarians, Centaurians, and species she had never seen before were all chained together in the darkness. Emma had been studying xenobiology for 3 years. She could speak basic phrases in 6 different alien languages. This knowledge made her valuable among the prisoners. She became a translator, helping different species communicate with each other. The guards changed shift every 6 hours, whispered an old Centaurian named Vex. He had been a prisoner for 2 months. They are lazy. They do not watch the cargo holds carefully. Emma nodded. She was already planning. The Zephyrians had made a mistake when they took her. They thought she was just another farm girl. They had no idea she was Jake Morrison's daughter. They had no idea she had learned strategy and tactics from watching her father. "We need to organize," Emma told the other prisoners. "We need to work together." A young human man named Bobby shook his head. "There are too many guards, too many weapons. We should just wait for rescue." "No one is coming to rescue us," Emma said firmly. "We have to save ourselves." But even as she said it, Emma hoped she was wrong. She hoped her father was looking for her. She hoped Jake Morrison was still the legendary soldier everyone said he was. Jake's first stop was Omega Station, a trading post in neutral space where information was bought and sold like any other commodity. The station was a massive spinning wheel that served as home to smugglers, bounty hunters, and black market dealers from across the galaxy. Jake walked through the station's crowded markets wearing simple clothes and a hood that covered his face. He looked like any other spacer looking for work or information, but his eyes were constantly moving, cataloging threats and escape routes. He found the person he was looking for in a dim bar called the Nebula's Edge. Marcus Webb was a human information broker who specialized in criminal organizations. Jake had used his services during the war to track enemy movements. "Oh, well." "Jake Morrison," Marcus said as Jake sat down across from him. "I heard you were dead. I heard you were honest. Looks like we were both wrong." Marcus laughed. "What? Do you want Reaper? And don't tell me you're looking for farming equipment." "Zephyrian slave routes. Recent ones. They hit New Haven 3 days ago." Marcus's smile disappeared. "That's dangerous information. The Zephyrians have friends now. Big friends with lots of guns." Jake placed a credit chip on the table. "How big?" Marcus looked at the chip, then at Jake's face. He saw something there that made him nervous. "Big enough that even I'm scared. The Zephyrians are working for someone in the Outer Rim, someone who wants live prisoners for experiments." "What kind of experiments?" "The kind that kill people slowly. The kind that need fresh subjects every few weeks." Jake felt ice in his veins. Emma was not just a slave. She was going to be used as a test subject in some alien laboratory. "Give me names. Give me locations." Marcus hesitated, then activated his datapad. "There are 3 main collection points. The slaves get sorted there before being shipped to the final destination." "But Jake, the people running this operation, they're not just criminals. They're connected to governments, to military forces. If you start killing them, you'll have half the galaxy hunting you. Let them come." Jake took the information and left Omega Station. His next stop was a Zephyrian outpost on an asteroid called Kef 7. According to Marcus's data, it was a fuel depot and communication hub for slave ships in the region. Kef 7 was supposed to be defended by 30 guards and automated weapon systems. Jake studied the asteroid for 2 hours before making his move. He approached in a stolen mining shuttle, broadcasting distress signals. The Zephyrian guards let him dock, thinking he was just another desperate miner with mechanical problems. They were wrong. Jake moved through the base like a shadow. His years of farming had not dulled his combat skills. If anything, the discipline and patience he had learned from working the land made him even more dangerous. The first guard died without making a sound. The second never saw Jake coming. By the time the base's alarm systems activated, Jake had already reached the command center. The Zephyrian commander was a large reptilian creature with orange scales and yellow eyes. He reached for his weapon when Jake entered the room, but Jake was faster. "I'm going to ask you some questions," Jake said, his rifle pointed at the alien's head. "You're going to give me answers. If you lie, you die. If you refuse to talk, you die. If I don't like your answers, you die. Do you understand?" The commander nodded. "Good. Now tell me about the slave ships that passed through here 3 days. Go. Tell me where they were going." 20 minutes later, Jake had the information he needed. The slaves from New Haven had been taken to a processing center on Vex Prime, a world in the Outer Rim controlled by crime syndicates. From there, they would be shipped to their final destination. Jake left the Zephyrian commander alive, but the base's communication systems were destroyed. It would be days before anyone knew what had happened on KETH-7. As Jake flew toward Vex Prime, he activated his ship's long-range communicator. The message he sent was coded, but every intelligence agency in human space would decode it within hours. The message was simple. "The Reaper is hunting. Stay out of my way." Across the galaxy, in government offices and military headquarters, alarms began to sound. Jake Morrison was active again. The most dangerous human in known space was on the move. Some officials called emergency meetings. Others began evacuating their facilities. Everyone remembered what had happened the last time Jake Morrison went to war. The galaxy was about to be reminded why humans were feared. Jake's assault on the processing center at Vex Prime had been swift and brutal. In 6 hours, he had destroyed 3 slave compounds and freed over 200 prisoners. But Emma was not among them. The Zephyrian records he captured told a darker story. The best prisoners, the ones with useful skills or rare genetics, were being sent somewhere else. Jake sat in his ship studying the data he had stolen. The name that kept appearing in the files made his blood run cold. Dr. Vorthik. Jake remembered that name from the war. Vorthak had been an Altarian scientist who created biological weapons for the enemy forces. Jake thought he had killed Vorthik when he destroyed the research station at Proxima 7. Apparently, Vorthik had survived. The files showed that Vorthik was paying the Zephyrians enormous amounts of money for human prisoners. He needed them for something called Project Genesis. The details were encrypted, but Jake could guess what kind of experiments required live human subjects. Jake activated his communication system and sent an encrypted message to Lisa Hayes on Luna Station. "I need everything Earth intelligence. Has on Dr. Vorthik. Assumed dead 15 years ago at Proxima 7. May still be active." The reply came back within an hour. "Jake, Vorthik is supposed to be dead. You killed him yourself. Are you sure about this?" "I'm sure. Send me the files." "Sending. Now." "But Jake, there's something else. The Galactic Council has issued a formal complaint about your activities. They're calling you a rogue operative. They want Earth to bring you in." Jake studied the intelligence files Lisa had sent. Vorthik had been brilliant, but completely insane. During the war, he had tried to create a virus that would target human DNA specifically. His goal was to make a weapon that could kill only humans while leaving other species unharmed. Jake had destroyed Vorthik's laboratory and apparently the scientist himself when he learned about the biological weapons program. But if Vorthik was alive, He had probably spent 15 years perfecting his research. Meanwhile, Emma Morrison was discovering the same terrible truth from inside Vorthok's hidden facility. The slave ship had delivered her to a research station, built inside a hollowed-out asteroid in deep space. The facility was enormous, with laboratories, holding cells, and medical equipment that looked more like torture devices. Emma was placed in a cell with 12 other humans, all of them young and healthy. Through the transparent walls, she could see dozens of other cells containing prisoners from different species. This was not just about humans. Vorthok was experimenting on everyone. "They take 3 prisoners every day," whispered a human woman, named Carol, who had been there for 2 weeks. "They bring them to the medical labs. They never come back." Emma pressed her face against the cell wall and looked down the corridor. She could see Altarian scientists in white coats moving between the laboratories. Through an open doorway, she glimpsed examination tables with restraints and strange machines that hummed with energy. "What are they doing to people?" Emma asked. Carol shuddered. "Testing. They inject us with different substances and watch what happens. They take blood samples, tissue samples. They're looking for something specific, but I don't know what." Emma's xenobiology training helped her understand what she was seeing. The scientists were not just randomly experimenting. They were mapping genetic structures, looking for weaknesses that could be exploited. This was weapons research. On the 3rd day, guards came for Emma. They brought her to a large laboratory where Dr. Vorthok was waiting. The Altarian scientist was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. His hands were covered with surgical scars, and he moved with the careful precision of someone who had spent years cutting into living beings. "Emma Morrison," Vorthok said in perfect English. "Daughter of Jake Morrison, the famous Reaper of Vega Prime. How interesting." Emma tried not to show her fear. "I don't know what you're talking about." Vorthok smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Oh, but you do. Your genetic markers are quite distinctive. Human, but with certain improvements. Your father was exposed to experimental enhancement drugs during the war. Those improvements have been passed to you." Emma's mind raced. Her father had never mentioned any enhancement drugs, but it would explain why she was stronger and faster than other girls her age. It would explain why she could learn languages so quickly. "Your father destroyed my life's work 15 years ago," Vorthok continued. "He killed my family when he bombed Proxima 7. I have spent every day since then planning my revenge. So this is about my father. This is about justice. And about completing my research. You see, Emma, I have been developing a virus that targets human genetics. But humans are surprisingly diverse. I need test subjects with different genetic backgrounds to perfect my creation." Vorthok moved closer to the examination table where Emma was strapped down. "Your enhanced genetics make you particularly valuable. If I can create a virus that kills you, it will kill any human." Emma struggled against the restraints. "My father will find this place. He'll stop you." "I hope he does. I have prepared a special welcome for the great Jake Morrison." While Emma faced her first encounter with Vorthok, Jake was making his own disturbing discoveries. His attack on Vex Prime had triggered a response from across the galaxy. Alien governments that had remained neutral during the war were now mobilizing their fleets. Jake received a priority message from Admiral Frank Cooper, his oldest friend and the current head of Earth's Strategic Command. "Jake, you need to stop. The Centaurian Republic has put a bounty on your head. The Altarian Empire is calling for a formal declaration of war against Earth. Half the galaxy thinks you've gone rogue." Jake was studying star charts, tracking the movement patterns of Zephyrian ships. "Frank, they have Emma. I'm not stopping until I get her back. I understand that. But you're about to start a galactic war. The Council has given Earth an ultimatum. Bring you in, or they'll consider it an act of aggression. Then don't bring me in. Jake, be reasonable. I can send a fleet to help you. We can make this an official rescue operation. No, the moment Earth gets officially involved, this becomes a political problem. Politicians will want to negotiate. They'll want to make deals. Emma doesn't have time for politics. Frank was quiet for a long moment. What do you need? Coordinates. Vorthek is hiding somewhere in the outer rim. The Zephyrians are using a base in neutral space as a transfer point. Find it for me. Jake, if I help you, I could be court-martialed. If you don't help me, Emma dies. Frank sighed. I'll see what I can do. But Jake, once you find this place, you're going to be facing more than just Zephyrian pirates. Vorthek has allies. Rich ones, powerful ones. Some of them are member species of the Galactic Council. Jake had already figured that out. The money and resources needed to run Vorthek's operation had to come from governments or major corporations. Someone very important was funding human experimentation. Send me the intelligence, Frank. I'll handle the politics later. As Jake waited for the coordinates, he prepared his ship for what might be his final battle. He loaded every weapon he had, checked every system twice, and recorded a message for Emma in case he did not survive. Emma, if you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it to you in time. I want you to know that everything I did because I love you. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Your mother would be proud of the woman you've become. Be strong. Be smart. Survive. Someone will come for you. Jake sealed the message and programmed it to transmit if his ship was destroyed. Then he received Frank's message with the coordinates of Vorthok's facility. Jake looked at the location on his star charts. The facility was in the Kepler Void, a region of space claimed by no government, but protected by a coalition of 6 different species. Getting there would mean fighting through defensive fleets from multiple worlds. Jake had fought impossible odds before. During the war, he had defeated enemy forces that outnumbered him 100 to 1, but this would be different. This time, he would not have the backing of Earth's military. This time, he would be alone against the galaxy. Jake started his ships, engines, and plotted a course for the Kepler Void. Emma was depending on him. That was all that mattered. The galaxy could burn. Emma had been a prisoner in Vorthek's facility for 8 days when she finally managed to organize the revolt. Using her knowledge of alien languages and behavior, she had convinced prisoners from 6 different species to work together. Plan was simple but dangerous. During the daily medical selection, when the guards were distracted, Emma and 20 other prisoners would overpower their captors and try to reach the facility's communication center. If they could send a distress signal, maybe someone would come to help them. The revolt began at exactly noon ship time. Emma led a group of human prisoners in an attack on the guards in Section C, while Altarian prisoners created a distraction. In Section B, for 30 minutes, the plan worked perfectly. Emma's group had taken control of 3 laboratory levels and was fighting toward the communication center. But Vorthek had been expecting something like this. Security doors slammed shut throughout the facility, trapping the rebels in different sections. Automated defense systems activated, filling the corridors with sleeping gas. Emma woke up strapped to an examination table in Vorthek's personal laboratory. The Altarian scientist was standing over her with a surgical instrument in his hand. That was very impressive, Miss Morrison. You show the same tactical thinking as your father, but also the same arrogance. Emma struggled against the restraints. Let the other prisoners go. This is between you and my family. Oh, but they are essential to my research. Each species provides unique genetic data for my virus project. But you, Emma, you are special. Your enhanced human genetics will help me create the perfect weapon. Vorthek activated a scanner that began mapping Emma's DNA structure. Did you know that your father's war crimes killed over 2 million Altarians? He destroyed our colonies, burned our cities, murdered our children. The galaxy calls him a hero, but to my people, he is a monster. Emma had never heard this version of the war before. Her father had told her he fought to protect human colonies from alien aggression. He had never mentioned burning cities or killing civilians. My father is not a monster, Emma said firmly. No? Then why is half the galaxy mobilizing their fleets to stop him from reaching you? Why are former allies now calling for his blood? Emma felt a chill. What do you mean? Vorthik smiled as he prepared a syringe filled with green liquid. Your father's rescue attempt has triggered the largest military mobilization since the Terran Centauri War. 6 species have declared him a galactic threat. The Centauran Republic has promised to destroy any human ship that enters their territory. The syringe went into Emma's arm. Fire spread through her veins as the experimental substance entered her bloodstream. Emma gritted her teeth and refused to scream. This particular formula attacks the nervous system, Vorthik explained as he watched. Emma's vital signs on a monitor. If it works on your enhanced genetics, it will work on any human. Emma felt her muscles spasming as the poison spread through her body, but her enhanced healing was fighting the toxin. After 10 minutes, her vital signs stabilized. Vorthik frowned. Interesting. Your resistance is stronger than expected. We will need a more aggressive approach. Meanwhile, Jake Morrison was discovering that Vorthak had been telling the truth about the galactic response. As Jake approached the Kepler void, his sensors detected more than 100 alien warships waiting for him. The defensive fleet included ships from the Centauran Republic, the Altarian Empire, the Zephyrian Confederation, and 3 other species. They had formed a blockade around Vorthik's facility. Determined to stop Jake from reaching his daughter, Jake studied the enemy formation from the edge of the system. The aliens had positioned their ships in overlapping defensive patterns, creating layers of firepower that would destroy any attacking force. It was a smart strategy. It was also exactly what Jake would have done in their position. Jake's communication system activated. Human vessel, this is Fleet Commander Zarthok of the Centauran Republic. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Jake switched on his transmitter. This is Jake Morrison. I want my daughter back. Give her to me, and I'll leave peacefully. Jake Morrison, you are a war criminal and a threat to galactic security. Your request is denied. Jake had expected that. Response. He had also expected the aliens to position their ships in standard defensive formations. What they did not expect was for Jake to have studied their tactics for 15 years. Jake activated his ship's stealth systems and began moving toward the alien fleet. His ship was small and fast, designed for reconnaissance rather than battle. But Jake had made modifications over the years. Hidden weapon systems, enhanced shields, and experimental engines that made his ship much more dangerous than it appeared. The first alien ship exploded before the others. Realized Jake was among them. His ship darted between the larger vessels, like a fighter attacking bombers, too small and fast for their weapons to track effectively. Jake used the aliens' numbers against them. When Centaurian ships fired at him, he positioned himself so their weapons hit Altarian vessels instead. When Zephyrian raiders tried to ram him, he led them into collision courses with their own allies. Within an hour, the perfect defensive formation had become chaos. Ships from different species were firing on each other. Commanders were screaming contradictory orders, and Jake was cutting through their lines toward Vorthik's facility. But even Jake could not fight 100 ships. Alone, his shields were failing, his weapons were overheating, and his ship had taken serious damage. Just when it seemed like the alien fleet would finally destroy him, help arrived. Admiral Frank Cooper's voice came over Jake's communicator. Jake, This is Admiral Cooper, aboard the U.E. Wellington. Sorry we're late to the party. Jake looked at his sensors and saw 6 Earth Defense Fleet ships dropping out of hyperspace. They were officially there to arrest Jake, but their weapons were targeting the alien fleet instead. Frank, you could be court-martialed for this. Probably. But Emma is my goddaughter, and I'll be damned if I let aliens experiment on her. The arrival of Earth warships changed the entire battle. The alien commanders had been prepared to fight one rogue human. They were not prepared for a full military engagement, with Earth's fleet. Jake used the confusion to break through the alien lines and reach Vorthic's facility. The research station was built inside a large asteroid, heavily fortified and defended by automated weapon systems. Jake docked his damaged ship with the facility's outer hull and began cutting his way inside with plasma torches. Behind him, Frank's fleet was holding off the alien ships, buying Jake the time he needed to reach Emma. Inside the facility, Vorthik was preparing for his final experiment. Emma had survived 4 different toxins, and her resistance was providing valuable data for the virus project. But Vorthik was running out of time. Your father has reached us, Vorthik told Emma as alarms sounded throughout the facility. But it does not matter. I have what I need to complete my weapon. Vorthik activated a device that began collecting samples of Emma's blood. This will be processed into a virus that can kill every human in the galaxy. Your sacrifice will achieve what the Centauran War could not: the elimination of the human species. Emma felt the device draining her blood, weakening her enhanced healing abilities. But she also heard something that gave her hope. In the distance, she could hear the sound of weapons fire and explosions. Her father was fighting his way toward her. Jake Morrison moved through Vorthik's facility like the legendary soldier he had once been. Alien guards fell before his advance. Security systems exploded under his assault, and nothing could slow his progress toward the laboratory levels, where Emma was being held. But Jake was also running out of time. Frank's fleet could not hold off the alien armada forever, and Jake's own injuries were slowing him down. He had to reach Emma before Vorthik completed his experiments. The facility shook as explosions rocked the outer levels. Jake was getting closer, but Vorthik was almost finished with his work. The race between father and scientist was reaching its deadly conclusion. Jake Morrison blasted through the final security door and burst into Vorthik's laboratory. The Altarian scientist was standing over Emma, who was strapped to an examination table with tubes draining her blood into a complex machine. Father, Emma called out weakly. Jake raised his rifle, but Vorthik was faster. The scientist grabbed a control device and activated a force field around Emma's table. Jake Morrison, the famous Reaper, Vorthik said with a cold smile. You are too late. I have what I need from your daughter. My virus is nearly complete. Jake studied the laboratory quickly. The machine connected to Emma was processing her blood and combining it with other substances. Computer screens showed DNA patterns and genetic sequences. This was the final stage of Vorthik's weapon development. Let her go, Jake said, his rifle aimed at Vorthik's head. Your fight is with me, not her. My fight is with all of humanity. Vorthik replied, But you destroyed my family, so I will destroy yours first. Vorthik pressed another button. Gas began filling Emma's containment chamber. The gas will kill her in 5 minutes. But if you try to break the force field, the entire laboratory will explode, destroying both Emma and the virus samples. Jake looked at the readouts on Vorthik's equipment. The virus was being manufactured in real time using Emma's genetic material. In a few hours, Vorthik would have enough biological weapon to kill millions of humans. What do you want? Jake asked. I want you to watch your daughter die, just as I watched my family die when you bombed Proxima 7. Jake remembered Proxima 7. During the war, it had been an enemy research facility developing biological weapons. Jake had destroyed it to prevent those weapons from being used against human colonies. He had not known that Vorthic's family lived there. "I didn't know about your family," Jake said. "The war was brutal for everyone. The war was genocide," Vorthic snapped. "You humans came to our galaxy and took whatever you wanted. You killed anyone who resisted." Emma was getting weaker as the gas affected her breathing, but she was listening to the conversation between her father and Vorthic. She understood something that both men had missed. "Dad," Emma called out in a weak voice, "the virus needs my specific genetic markers to work. If I die, he has to start over." Vorthic's expression changed. "Clever girl. Yes, I need living tissue samples to complete the final stage, but I have enough blood to create a prototype virus." Emma managed to smile despite her pain. "But you don't have enough to test it properly. You need weeks of samples to make sure it works on all human genetic types." Jake realized what Emma was telling him. If he could destroy the laboratory now, Vorthic's research would be set back by months. But it would also mean sacrificing Emma. "I won't let you die," Jake said to his daughter. Emma looked at her father with love and determination. "Dad, you taught me that sometimes one person has to sacrifice everything to save others. There are millions of humans in this galaxy. My life is not worth more than theirs." Before Jake could respond, Emma activated her enhanced strength and broke free from the examination table restraints. The effort cost her greatly, but she managed to reach the laboratory's main computer console. "Emma, no!" Jake shouted. Emma looked at her father one last time. "I love you, Dad. Take care of the galaxy for me." She entered a command sequence that would overload the facility's power core. The entire research station would explode in 60 seconds. Vorthic screamed in rage and lunged toward Emma, but Jake shot him down. The Altarian scientist fell to the floor, his life's work destroyed, along with his quest for revenge. Jake ran to Emma and gathered her in his arms. She was badly injured from the experiments and the gas, but she was alive. "The station is going to explode," Emma whispered. "We have to get to your ship." Jake carried Emma through the collapsing facility as explosions rocked the research station. Behind them, fires consumed Vorthic's laboratories and destroyed years of biological weapons research. They reached Jake's ship just as the facility's power core began its final overload sequence. Jake sealed the airlock and launched his ship. Away from the asteroid. 30 seconds later, Vorthic's research station exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The explosion was so powerful that it could be seen from the edge of the solar system. Admiral Cooper's voice came over Jake's communicator. "Jake, are you okay?" "We saw the explosion. We're alive," Jake replied, holding Emma close. "The threat is over." But Emma was dying. The experiments had damaged her enhanced healing abilities, and the gas had poisoned her system. Jake's ship medical bay was not equipped to handle her injuries. "Dad," Emma said weakly, "I'm not going to make it." Jake refused to accept that. "Yes, you are. Frank, I need immediate medical evacuation. Emma needs a hospital." "Jake, the nearest Earth medical facility is 6 hours away," Frank replied. "The alien fleet is still out there. We might not be able to get through." Emma squeezed Jake's hand. "It's okay, Dad. I did what I had to do. The virus is gone. Humanity is safe." Jake looked at his daughter and saw her mother's strength in her eyes. Emma had saved not just humanity, but potentially every species in the galaxy. Vorthic's virus could have been modified to target any genetic group. "I'm proud of you," Jake said. "You're braver than any soldier I ever commanded." Emma smiled. "I learned from the best." 3 hours later, Emma Morrison died in her father's arms as they flew toward Earth. Her sacrifice had saved billions of lives. But Jake felt like his world had ended. The news of Emma's death and her heroic sacrifice spread across the galaxy. Within days, the same alien governments that had mobilized to stop Jake Morrison now honored the memory of his daughter. The Centaurian Republic named a star system after Emma. The Altarian Empire declared her a hero of galactic peace. Jake Morrison disappeared after Emma's funeral. Some said he returned to farming on a distant world. Others claimed he became a wandering protector, helping colonies defend themselves from pirates and raiders. A few insisted he had died of grief shortly after losing his daughter. But in the darker corners of the galaxy, criminals and tyrants still whispered about the Reaper of Vega Prime. They told stories of a human who had burned half the galaxy to save his daughter. They warned each other that some humans, when pushed too far, would destroy everything rather than accept defeat. The galaxy had learned something important from Jake Morrison's war against the Zephyrians and Vorthek. Humans were not just another species to be conquered or controlled. They were capable of incredible love and unthinkable sacrifice. They would go to any length to protect their families and their values. Emma Morrison's sacrifice had shown the galaxy that humans could be heroes. Jake Morrison's war had shown them that humans could be unstoppable when motivated by love and loss. In the years that followed, human colonies were rarely attacked by alien raiders. The memory of what had happened to those who had kidnapped Emma Morrison served as a powerful deterrent. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity's capacity for both creation and destruction. Jake Morrison had wanted a quiet life for his daughter. Instead, Emma had become a symbol of human courage and sacrifice. Her death had prevented a genocide and changed how this galaxy viewed humanity. The galaxy would never forget the girl who gave her life to save billions of people she had never met. And it would never forget the father who had been willing to earn everything down to save her. Some lessons the galaxy learned were written in fire and blood. The lesson of Emma Morrison was written in both.